But having read your book, a lot of it resonates with me. I think the statistics speak for themselves. And the real unsung heroes, and the hero in your story too, which probably was unwitting, was your mother. Because moms do this job. They try and be mother and father, and it is a difficult job. But every son and every daughter does need that father figure. And we've heard the statistics about crime. It's mainly because of the fatherless homes, and there's not a good role model. And many of us haven't had that role model, and you certainly didn't have that. My world was a bit different. I had two fathers. One was absent and one was abusive, so I had quite a cool choice to see who was going to be my role model. But what came through strongly in this book was that it doesn't matter what your circumstance, and the author was grappling with not having a father, but it doesn't matter what your circumstance, about the choices you make. And Neo made a very strong choice. They said even though he didn't have a father, he knew how he wanted to behave and conduct himself as this human being in this world. How he wanted his daughters to look up to him and how he wanted to be. And that's really what it's about, is the choices we make. So you made some very strong choices, and it comes through a lot in the theme of the book. I mean, he started running, no one helped him, that was a choice he made. So he's run a 56K? A while ago, I see, but it's been, you haven't hit the road for a while, I can see, but that's okay. we all fall back, sometimes we backslide. So, it reminds me of a story. There's two sons, sort of Cain and Abel story. One is a very successful businessman, kind of the pillar of the community, who's done well for himself. And the other one is a criminal and is languishing in jail. So they asked the two sons separately. They said to the son who was in jail, why did you turn out like you did? So just take a step back. The father was also a criminal, so he wasn't really a great role model. So the son said, they said, so why did you turn out as a criminal? He said, with a father like mine, what do you expect? And then they asked the successful son, why did you turn out so successful? And he said, with a father like mine, what did you expect? So it's all really about the choices we make. And you made some great choices. And I suppose the argument is that, yes, it's important to have a father, and we miss that father figure. I mean, I met my father, my real father, for the first time when I was 13 years old, which was quite a formative time to meet him. And he was quite a high-profile individual. He was a double doctor in philosophy. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He studied under Carl Jung. If you know these people, he was like a big deal in this academic world. So it was quite a. So I kind of always aspire to be like this amazing man. But generally, like most amazing men and geniuses, they are very conflicted in their own lives and their own personal life. So possibly I was better off not having hung out with him. My second father was another piece of work. He was quite a violent man. But I must say, I never got hit in my face in my life. Because whenever I was running away, he always hit me at the back of the head. Yeah. So I was quite safe. So it's the choices you make. So and Neo's taken that piece as well. I'm grateful to both of them because it's turned me into the human being I am today. It wasn't good or bad, it was just who I am today. And I think Neo didn't have the father figure, but it turned him into this human being that he is today. And it's not good or bad, it's just what it is. It's something you can be grateful for, because your life could have turned out totally different if you had a father that was maybe abusive or maybe a criminal or maybe an amazing pillar of the community. We don't know how it would have turned out. And he mentions in his book, he talks about love, and this is really the essence of the thing. Neo calls love a verb, so he calls it a doing word. Because in the book he mentions, someone asked some children, how do you know your daddy loves your mommy? And she makes him coffee in the morning. and daddy does this for her. So what do fathers and mothers do for each other? They set each other up for success and they support each other. And so Leo, you encapsulated beautifully that love is a doing word, and that's, so your mom did a lot. That's how she showed her love, and she was strict. Your brother tried his best, not a great role model according to the book, but because the whole smoking on the tree of life, is not really a good thing. Well, maybe it is now. Wish I had one of those now. But he did the best with what he had. And so what I see in Neo is also a conflicted hero. It's you're grappling with this concept still because you want to be this amazing father, like we all do. I think most fathers in the room and mothers. But really, what do we want to be? We want to be heroes to our children. That's why we do this stuff. We go to work to bring money to the family. That's it. We get money to give to our families, and that what kind of gives us a meaning. And but sometimes we forget that in the work we are fathers, and we're not. I heard this statement from Gavin Sharples the other day. We're not daddies. Fathers send their children to bed, as Gavin said. Daddies go to bed with them and read a story. Fathers send their children to bath. Daddies go and they bath with them and play with them. So there's also that aspect is how much can you be a daddy? But it sounds like from the book that you're not just a father, but you're a daddy as well. You really care about your children. So, and then as an author, I want to commend you because it is freaking hard to be an author. You bleed on the page every day, and when you write your stuff, you think, my God, don't even have a standard 5 English. How can I call myself a writer? And your first draft is like this vomit on the page, and then you hone it with your second draft and your third draft. And then maybe you can get it out in public, and then when you do, you're nervous that it's not going to sell or nobody's going to like you because we're always looking for validation. And I admire you for that because I know it takes a lot of time being an author. And the trick to being an author is not just the words and the sentences, but it's actually gluing your backside to the chair and trying to spend 2 hours a day churning out these words that may or may not impact the world. But we don't write because we write because we hope to make a difference in this world. But we write because it's like breathing to us. If we don't write, we will die. And we need to keep on writing. So that's why I commend all authors. And if we're not writing, we're on like a life support. We need to get down, just looking at some people, we need to get back off that life support and back into the full breath of writing. So whenever an author comes up here and produces a book, it is actually such a moment of that this person really bled on the page, really put everything out there to bring this to you. Your message is a valuable one to South Africa. I think we have many challenges with our fathers, and we know about the past and the migration and why fathers can't be present, and why mothers have to bring up the children, and it is what it is. And I don't know how to fix it. Patrick has some answers, but I think it's going to be a journey. It's maybe going to be one of your missions in life is to get fathers to be daddies and get fathers to be present with their children. Because it would be wonderful if both parents could be together, but it's not always like that for all of us. Also, you made a choice because most of us have had some kind of hard life, had some kind of catastrophe. But you know what, that's what it is. You're here now, you've got to get over it, you've got to go do the work that you're meant to do. Because, like Patrick, all of us in this room have some kind of purpose. And it's not over until you've done your purpose. So if you're still here, you haven't done your purpose. So not over for you. Okay. So here's a little story which I kind of think relates to Patrick and maybe a lesson that he's trying to teach us. is that we've got to start fixing ourselves and not just looking for other people to fix us, because it's not going to happen. We really try hard to change the world, but we can only all do our small little thing. And I'm coming to the conclusion that if in any way I'm going to be significant in this world, it's a bit of a joke. The best I can hope for is that my daughter that I dote on will think, that was a cool dad. Maybe that's what I bring to this world, some kind of value system for my daughter. And that's the best I can hope for. If I can push the boundaries a bit more, that will be great. So Patrick, thank you for this book, and once again reminding me that it's a really hackneyed saying, but if it's to be, it's up to me. And it's ultimately, we cannot rely on anybody, and we can't put our hopes and dreams in anybody. It would be nice to have that support. So the story I'd like to end on is this little boy goes to his father and says, "Daddy, please play with me." And the father says, "Listen, son, I'm really busy. Go and play with your sister. Go and ride that bike we bought you for Christmas." How many of us do that? We don't have the time. Huh? So the boy said, "Nah, I don't want to do that." So the father goes to a chest of drawers and he finds a Time magazine. He opens it up. In the middle of the Time magazine is a map of the world. He takes the map and he tears it up into strips and squares and shuffles it up into a box. He puts some sellotape on top of it. And he says, "Listen, son, Daddy wants you to go to your room and I want you to stick this map together with a sellotape perfectly, and when you've done it, come and show Daddy and we'll go and play." So the father thinks, and the son said, "Yay!" And off he goes to his bedroom, and the father thinks, "Great, I've got like 2 hours." 15 minutes later, here comes the boy. "Daddy, Daddy!" He says, "What? I finished." "What?" And he shows the map, and pretty much he stuck it together very well. I mean, it was pretty perfect. He said, "That's amazing, son. How did you do it so quickly?" He said, "It was easy, Daddy, because at the back of the map was a picture of a man. And I figured if I got the man right, the world would fall into place." So Patrick, what you've taught me is that if I get it right here and here, my world and your world will fall into place. Ladies and gentlemen, please once again put your hands up for Patrick. And now I'm going to introduce you to Kim Hunter, who is a dear friend, an author, a proofreader, and she's just really a pillar of strength for all of us. And she's going to be interviewing Patrick and ask him a couple of questions. Well, I don't know what she's going to ask him, so I'm going to leave it to her. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim Hunter.
Right, so I'm thrilled that Patrick asked me to think of a few questions to ask him on the launch of his book. And we are all very proud of you, so well done. I want to get to know this man who's standing next to me. I don't know him very well. I have seen him at various events, specifically Indie Authors Networking, which we hold here once a month for anyone who wants to write a story. You're very welcome to join us. And at a Pecha Kucha or two, and we're hoping that in future we're going to have him speaking at one of those events on this subject. 28th of October, he's committed! Yay! So, let's start off with some easy questions. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
He's a boy, what can we say? What's your favorite meal?
Pasta and mince. Pasta and mince.
Pasta and mince. Okay. What is one thing in your daily life that you really wish wasn't a part of your daily life? What would you prefer to be doing for those 8 hours that you spend at work every day?
I would really love to sit and write, the whole day. Because writing it's refreshing for me. It's my passion. It's something that I would love to do all my life and hopefully make money from it, live from it. Yeah.
Wouldn't all authors love to be able to do that instead of having to go to this awful day job which pays all our bills? Because, we do actually like to eat sometimes. Why did you decide to make this your first book?
It's actually my second book.
So now you see, the little secrets start coming out. Tell us about your first book.
So my first book was written, published in 2012. It was titled Now I Understand Why It Had to Happen. So I wrote it because I went through things, in my life growing up as a boy, things that were really, really tough, and I decided, because I love to write, I decided, no, instead of going to talk to somebody about my problems, let me write them on a book, because a book doesn't speak back and try to give me advice. And at that point, when things were tough, I decided, no, instead of letting things break me down, let me write about them. And there's possibly somebody out there who's going through the same things and they think they will not get out of them. But let me tell them that, whatever I went through, I finally went out. So that's why I wrote that book.
Where can I get my hands on this book?
It's available on Amazon, everywhere, all online bookstores.
I think I've got some homework to go and do.
I don't even have a copy.
So obviously the writing bug took hold. Why did you decide then that this subject would be your second book?
It's my third. I'm just kidding. So, I write based on my experiences, and I don't want to be writing about somebody else that I don't know, I try to write about the experiences that I went through, and, it was a pain for me growing up without a dad, and looking at all my friends, and as growing up, I think I remember the first time I asked about my dad is when I was going to school, and I kept asking my mom, why do all my friends have both parents and I only have one, So I decided that's where it comes from, yeah.
And when you were going to school, did you, aside from noticing that you didn't have a dad, did you notice other children around you who didn't have dads?
No, I noticed the ones that had their dads. because I needed mine,
Now, isn't that very telling? That you noticed the children who had fathers, not the children who didn't have fathers. I find that incredibly sad. Now that you are a father, how different do you think? It's a bit of a broad question. Can you think of just one or two things that would have made life more meaningful for you if your father had been there? And I'm specifically thinking of you as a child and not just, I don't have a dad. What are the one or two things that you think would really have made a difference if you had had a father as a child?
My brother taught me how to ride a bike. I would have loved that moment to have been with my father. There's a man sitting there, he took me fishing. I love fishing, I don't know why. But that man took me fishing, and those moments were the best moments of my life, and but sorry guys. The book still makes me emotional. Don't mind me. So the fact that my brother was the one that was taking up the responsibility, he was a child as well, he was only 2 years older than me, and those were the moments that were scary and emotional as well. You find or you realize the meaning of what a father is when somebody else steps up and takes up the responsibility of your father, like a mentor, like a pastor, like a friend, anybody that takes over. And you realize, man, this is what I've been missing out. Or you see other fathers, playing with their kids, playing soccer, and I picture a moment when I was young, we used to play, I grew up in a village, so the only thing that we could do there was play soccer, and sometimes you come back, you're carrying your soccer boots, you're tired, you see other fathers, they are carrying the soccer boots for their sons, and like those little moments, those little things that people don't think they matter, they do actually matter. So.
Sorry, it really does make me quite emotional. In our society today, things, maybe my perceptions are not as accurate as they could be, but I get the feeling that less fathers are going away to work, but they're just not having anything to do with their children. Is that a correct perception?
It is, I explained in the book that you have different kinds of fathers, You have a father who just loves playing with his kids, but he's still not approachable. You cannot talk to him about serious things. You have a father that loves to read a newspaper. He buys the food, fills the fridge with groceries, sits there, waits for the food to be cooked. He just eats and goes to bed. He never talks to the children, never talks to the family. You have fathers that are really good. They can talk to their children, they can play with their children, they can spend time with their children, Nobody's perfect. But the fact that somebody will be trying, it makes a huge difference. And if you get to find that there's a dad in their house, and I'm not going to use the word useless, but because I said that I already used it, but he's there, but he's not there. All he does is just provide, as if the father's job. Okay, fine, the father's supposed to provide, but no man can live on food alone. And the very same thing that fathers forget is that, your children need your presence as well. Of course, we need to eat. Of course, you need to fill the fridge, but you also need to be there. I need to watch soccer with my dad. I need to watch rugby with my dad, And those little moments is.
One of the things that I find quite disturbing is that there seems to be a trend of one man with several girlfriends. And he's quite happy for each girlfriend to have a child. But he's never going to be able to support all of those children. So, how do you feel about contraception?
Contraception? Look, it all starts somewhere at the end of the day. And we grow up, I'm going to use a little bit of my experience. We grow up, having a lot of girlfriends was a cool thing, because I didn't have my own friends. I was friends with my brother, and he's the one who said to me the first time, "Go get the girl," And I remember I was 13, and things at 13 happened. And he says, "You're a man now, so go get your your first girlfriend, and I said, no, I'm scared, and he says to me, what is she going to do to you? Kill you, She's going to, the worst that she can say no. So that's where the impact of a father is. It's like, your father will never tell you to go get a girlfriend, and your brother, because he doesn't know, he's not your father, he's your brother, he will, according to the circle that he keeps, he will push you, and you hear them talk, and they were like, I can get any girl I want, you go get this girl, you if you get your first girlfriend, you get the confidence, you want to test if I can get another one, and you're not sure if she's going to say yes, and then she says yes, and you start with 2, and then you go to another one, you're overconfident, you start with 3 now, you don't know what you. And at the end of the day, you grow up like that. It's something that that sits in you, and you get used to that, and you have to find yourself having more girlfriends, and you don't take care of yourself, and boom, 3 of them have kids, God forbid, And I don't know how I feel about contraceptives. I've never taken one, but can I reserve my comment on that? Thank you.
On the subject of contraception, I think that it's actually both parties' responsibility. It belongs to both the man and the woman. So that brings me to another rather difficult topic, I think, and that is that we can't put all the blame on the men. The women... Okay, let me ask the question this way. Do you find that it is a trend amongst young women to fall pregnant to try and get a guy to support them and a child?
Those are difficult questions. Yeah, it is a difficult one. Look, I think it is a trend, If I were to be forced to answer that question, it is a trend, but we're not psychics. How do we know that they're trying to trap the guy to support them? We can never say that. I think it's a responsibility of 2 people. If your girlfriend gets pregnant, you cannot come up and say, no, she's trying to trap me, because you knew what you were doing. Unless if you asked her if she was taking contraceptives, and she said yes. But if both of you are not protecting yourself, there's only adults here, so you know what you're doing, and it's not going to come out a soccer ball, it's going to be a baby.
Don't we wish there were soccer balls, though? Right, I think I've asked quite a few deep questions, so let me throw it open to the audience. Does anybody have questions that they would like to ask Patrick? Perhaps about himself personally and his journey, or about the topic?
Okay, Oprah, a couple of years ago, interviewed kids, sons and their fathers, and one of the fathers said, I can't give my son more than what I can give because I never got it from my father. And the quote that stuck to me was, I have an emptiness in my heart, and it's in the shape of my father. And there were like about 6 men there, and all of them agreed that they feel the same way. If you had to look back, well, what you know now and the experience that you've had, what would you tell that 13-year-old boy? What advice would you give yourself as a 13-year-old boy?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So, you have grown up without a father, And one of the comments that you made a little bit earlier was that you particularly noticed it, well, early on, but sort of around the age of 13 when, things were happening. If you, as the adult you are now, could go back in time and have a word with that boy, what advice would you give that boy?
Being a father yourself now. Is there anything specific? Is there anything?
You see, what I noticed, I think one man said to me that sometimes we try not to be like our fathers and we end up not living our own lives. And we realize later on in lives that we try to be like somebody else, but we've actually lived somebody else's life. So I would say to that boy, stop saying to yourself, I won't be like my father. I won't be like my father. I won't be like my father. Because the more you say, I won't be like my father, you forget who you are. And only later on in life I realized, man, I haven't really lived. I don't know who I am. And that's when I started to try to find myself. So I would say to that boy, just figure out who you are. Your dad might come and he might not come. So, pick yourself up.
Anybody else got questions?
Who do you think taught you to be a provider for your family? Was it your mother, or did you look to other male role models in your community where you can observe them and learn from them?
Great question. We have this thing in the community that our mothers are strong, they can do anything. And my mother she was this pillar. She taught me most things I know. She taught me how to be a gentleman. She taught me how to respect women. She taught me did I just throw in my own language there? Sorry guys. So she taught me how to handle myself, and the words that I remember were, some men grow up saying, we don't want women to eat our money, but at the end of the day, a man is a provider, and I learned that from her, but also later on in life from my pastor, that a man must provide for his family. And we're not saying that, especially in the nowadays, both husband and wife work. But a man has to be the main provider in the family. So I could say I learned from my mother, and I learned from my pastor as well.
Yes. Tell us about your children.
So my partner is sitting there. That's Janelle there with the beautiful spectacles and yeah. So together we've got 3 daughters and a son. So actually, yes, thank you. Yes, our children are beautiful. What else do you want to know about them? Okay, so there's a 14-year-old boy, there's a 9-year-old girl, and there's a 4 and a 5-year-old girls. They're beautiful. They talk too much. They ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I don't know what to say, but I try to answer the questions, as much as I possibly can. Because I used to read a lot when I was a kid, I used to sit in a room. I'm an introvert, so I used to sit in a room and read the whole book, And I realized that I had questions that I needed somebody to answer. My mom was too busy raising boys. She didn't have the time to answer the questions. So I said, you know what? As my kids ask me questions, as my kids say anything, I will make time and answer their questions. They're very inquisitive. My 9-year-old likes to write. She's like me, and we actually launching a book together. She's launching hers, I'm launching mine in December. Yeah, she's busy writing. So our kids are They're beautiful. They are beautiful. You know, right? They are, right? You know, and yeah, that's basically it.
Just to ask now, because not having a father figure or father actually in your life, and then you as a father, how do you balance, by not overcompensating for the mere fact that you didn't have a father, and how do you pray that, not actually overcompensating your love towards your kids, because as a father, you remember you have to be a disciplinarian as well. So how do you keep that balance?
Okay, so the question is, how has Patrick learned to keep the balance between his growing up without a father and now being a father himself? So not overcompensating from his experiences when he was young.
It's did you have to ask me that?
I want to know.
It can be tough, obviously, for the obvious reasons. And fortunately, I have been trained. I don't want to sound like, trained. But I have been mentored, on how to take care of kids and how to discipline them and how to raise them well. And if I didn't have, people in my life, Brother Daryl is there, and he's got his own kids as well. The tall guy, the African guy, he can raise a hand. Yeah. So I learned a lot from him as well. He's got kids, and sometimes I will be in his house and I will watch how he speaks to his kids. I will watch how he disciplines his kids, And I know can I please say this? In the white and the black community, we discipline our kids differently, In the black community, we spank our kids.
We don't know darling.
But I learned a lot from him just by observing and asking him questions, and my pastor as well. He's not here tonight, but also he would sit me down and he would watch me how I discipline my kids, and he would watch and when we are together, just the two of us, and he would tell me, now you let your kid do this and this and this, and you let them get away with it, they're going to override you next time. So I learned all those things from him and
I'm always going on and on about how children imitate their parents. They really, really do. So it actually, I find it quite uplifting to hear that Patrick questioned when he was old enough to understand that he needed these answers. So from me to you, yay. There were small questions.
Yes. Patrick mentioned a couple of times the year when he was 13, right? So you mentioned that your son, your firstborn, is 14, am I right? Okay. So when your child turned 13, did that have some sort of an impact on you emotionally? Because of the things that happened, when you were 13, the emotional roller coaster that you went through when you were at the age of 13.
Okay, so the question was, Patrick mentioned that when he was 13, there were a few things that happened. Those things. When his son was 13, did that bring back emotions that needed to be dealt with? And how did you handle things with your 13-year-old with that in mind?
Luckily, he doesn't have an older brother to influence him. So
He's got you.
yes, he's got me, and we take a walk sometimes. We talk about things that mother doesn't know, and yeah, we just talk, and he's free with me, I'm free with him, and I know when he's got a girlfriend, he'll tell me, so I'll speak to him.
Yes.
you for being the CEO of the house and speaking to this very subject of father gratitude, being a daddy. I think my question to you is around what is your true law? How does Patrick know that he's fulfilled?
What is your true north? How does Patrick know that he is fulfilled?
The true north. How do I know if I'm fulfilled? You mean in life in general or just personally in me? When I have finished the chapter.
The day of.
Yes. So, can anybody really be fulfilled, like fully? Every day, I don't know, maybe I'm driven like that, but every day I'm fulfilled today, tomorrow I want to do something else, I move on, you know? And let's just say something totally unrelated. When I met somebody a long time ago, my life changed, and the value that she brought into my life, you know, that was fulfillment for me. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. For me, fulfillment is just sitting with my whole family, watching whatever we're watching on TV. I'm not supposed to watch TV. I'm supposed to be writing. But yes. And just hearing them running around the house while I lock myself in the room, you know, typing away the story, you know, with them knocking on the door, asking me if I need water or coffee. I love coffee, a strong one. And yeah, those are the fulfilling moments of my life.
Okay, so I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit because this is such a serious topic and I've actually felt quite emotional tonight. So, when you're writing, what is your favorite snack?
Snack?
Yes. Do you eat while you write?
Biltong. Biltong. I love biltong. I eat biltong. I drink a strong coffee. What else do I eat? I don't know. You see, every time I'm writing and I stop to try to eat, that's why I eat biltong, because I can go, you know, it's in my mouth and I'm chewing. You know, if I try to go and make something and I come back and I forgot what I wanted to write, so I prefer to just write, and finish the chapter, and if there's something to eat, then I eat after. But let's say the main one is biltong.
I love this man. Do you prefer to read paper books or electronic books?
Paper books will never go out of fashion, guys. Come on. I prefer paper books because I can carry them in the car. Well, electronics, you can carry them in the car also. But you know, you're stuck in traffic and you go. You know, the police are not going to stop you from reading on paper, right?
But they might if you drive into the person in front of
No, I won't. Hopefully.
Aside from reading while you're driving, which is probably as bad as texting while you're driving, do you have a special time of day that's like really special for reading? And what kind of books do you like to read?
It's nicer to read when everybody's still asleep. You know, I just wake up in the morning. I can't sleep too long. You know, I learned from university that a man that sleeps too long is going to go hungry. So I like to wake up. I know it's irritating some people. I like to wake up at 4:30 and read. You know, while everybody's still sleeping. And yeah. I eat while they are still sleeping, and when they wake up, I eat again. But, you know, it's better to read in the morning. It's better to read in the morning when it's really quiet, and I prefer inspirational books, but most of the books that I read are about business. Fiction. No. Inspirational books.
Inspiration.
Yes, and business books mostly. I read business books, yeah. I've got DJ Small's book by the way.
Right, are there any other questions from the audience? Yes.
I've got a question. Since you mentioned your mother being the stronghold, and we've seen that men will literally impregnate a woman and then move on to the next woman, and a woman is left with taking care of the baby. So, what is your purpose? Like, what is it that you want to say to that guy?
Thank you for that question. Initially, I wrote the book for sons, and fathers, and the message that I wanted to get to the fathers: you are breaking the son. You are breaking your kids. You're breaking the boy. There's one thing that we do not realize. Somebody asked me for my opinion when there was, the killings of women recently on social media. And I actually said, no, I don't have an opinion, because what I realized was things start from afresh, The boy doesn't have a father, he doesn't have discipline in the house, when you have a boy, when he talks to his mother, especially when he goes into 13, he thinks he's the boss of the house. The message that I want to get to the father, to the man, to the young boy of today: let us not break our own kids. It is so. I don't think, maybe they are there, but I don't think a man will make a child and not want to see them successful. And if you're not there for your child, what success do you expect them to achieve? If you're breaking him now, he's going to break somebody else later. We have a society of broken boys, and I don't want to say we don't have broken women, but we have mostly broken boys. And if I leave my boy today, he's broken, he doesn't have a father figure in his life. He's going to meet, let's say I go make another daughter somewhere that they don't know about. That boy, my boy that I left, is going to meet that girl later. He's going to be broken and he's going to break her. So as men, let us take care of our children. Let us take care of our boys especially. Because it starts there, you break a boy, he's going to break a girl. It's going to break that girl. It's going to break that girl. And we have a society of broken people that don't understand where they are going. And it's like I'm saying, when I say I wrote it for boys and men. But in the last couple of weeks, most people that bought the book were single moms, and they would say, I spoke to a specific woman who said, boys are broken, boys are this and that, boys are this and this, and I look at her life and I'm like, but you're raising a boy and you're saying all these things about boys, the things that mothers are saying to their boys as well, you're just like your father, with this, with this, with this. Those things are breaking those boys from a young age, and it is our responsibility as fathers to be there. If you've left your boy, people live relationships for different reasons. I'm not going to say that people need to stay in a relationship where they are abused or whatever. But just because you fought with the mother doesn't mean that boy is not your boy anymore. And we need to, as men, stick around for our boys. Be with them. You have no idea what 1 hour or 30 minutes of coffee with your boy will do for your boy, will do for his confidence. So that's the message I want to bring across there.
Patrick, thank you so much for writing the story and for bringing it to us. I would like to wish you well on your writing journey. 2 books in, yay. Even though I didn't know, I'm quite distraught. I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight and for being a part of this wonderful celebration with Patrick. To Deborah and Scoobs and the staff, thank you all very much for allowing us and for making it a lovely event. The book is for sale.
Actually, you want to say something?
Well, I'm going to finish. Because, I'm more important than he is. Oh, it's only 200 Rand. So, get Patrick to sign it, because, he's the author, he wrote the book. Get him to sign it, and then when you are ready to leave, after you have socialized with everybody here, introduced yourselves to everybody, and of course to Patrick, pay on your way out the door. So from me and Debs and the staff at Scoops, thank you all for being here. Here's the author.
Can I please thank? First of all, I just want to thank Deborah for giving me the opportunity. I wouldn't be standing in this fancy place, if it wasn't for her. The opportunity that she gives all the African authors, it's such a privilege and honor to know somebody like you. You're friendly, you're always happy. I don't know what you drink, you can give it to me also, but you're always happy, and you are, when I first met you, you were so brutally honest, I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into? But you help me, and you still continue to help me. We communicate all the time. You're not saying, bring me your books and just leave me on my own, You teach me things, and I'm grateful for that, I also want to thank Jacques, for the advices that he gives me. I speak to him. You guys don't know, but I speak to Jacques, and I thank you for, I ambushed him. I don't know, come on, it's English word. I ambushed him tonight to be MC for me. I want to thank a couple of people as well, my partner, for always supporting me, being there with me. When I'm writing and she says, I miss you, I'm like, I miss you too, but I'm writing. And everybody who's played a major role. I see Mayo there, she's my life coach. I talk to her all the time. When I need advice, I talk to her. My colleagues are here tonight from Clientele Life. Thank you guys. Don't tell my boss I said I don't want to work. I want to work. I need that money, And I want to thank my family. My sister is there at the back there. You can wave. Yeah, my sister is there, and my 2 cousins, brothers, whatever you guys are. I love you guys. I want to thank Brother Darrell for coming with his wife Joanne. Hello, Joanne. Stop talking. I know you. And I want to thank people from the church for coming. Everybody else, if I forgot you, you can come beat me up later. And my associates, I just want to thank everybody. You guys came and you listened and you asked me. You didn't ask me a difficult question. Thank you, God. And so basically, I appreciate everybody for being here. I was so nervous. I couldn't sleep last night. But it didn't go as badly as I thought it would. So I appreciate everybody. And am I forgetting something else? Yeah, of course. Please buy the book.
You said that when your daughter falls into your arms, she completely trusts you.
Yes.
Trust yourself. Take your own advice, my darling.
Yes.
Trust yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. You can relax now. Okay, I'm relaxed now.